Hey Cancer, this is your July 2025 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is your reading. It's Romy here. Thanks so much for joining me and happy solar returns for you this month. Okay, we're going to open up for you with the energy of the Knight of Cups. And it's the way in which you are able to project forward the vision that you have, the ideas that you have, and how you're going to work energetically in July that makes it so special, that makes it so powerful. You're drawn to something and it's incredibly compelling. And it's almost like as you send that energy out, you're also being met with it, and it's kind of pulling you forward. So I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to really come to a place of acceptance in yourself in July that says, okay, I'm doing this. There are going to be so many moments of brilliance that happen actually, and a lot of remembering. Things are going to be flooding back to you in the early part of July. Now we've got 4 main planets going retrograde, and that begins with Neptune on the 4th of the month as Venus shifts into Gemini. And this feeling of what just happened is going to be staying with you, okay, all the way through July. There's almost a kind of don't know if I'm coming or going at times, and that's okay. It's not going to impede your progress, but it certainly requires a certain degree of thoughtfulness, and to just, when required, stop and take a step back and just make sure that you're still in alignment, and that the words that you're speaking and the action that you're about to take is something that you are in agreement with, from a physical perspective. Like, does your body feel on board with it? Does this feel right in your gut? That's what you need. And I think that there's going to be a turning point arriving for you in July, and perhaps one that you didn't actually see coming. But nonetheless, I think you're going to give yourself permission to move with it, because it almost feels like the wave is here and I'm going to catch it, and I need to explore where this is going to take me. That Knight of Cups is on a adventure, and he's vision questing, and he's wanting to find the reasons to stay in love, to keep almost that heart energy radiating from a place of pure passion. And so you're in an open state of mind, and I think that's really beneficial, because it means that where people have got things to say, where opportunities are arising, where things are just coming up that are a little unexpected, you're just giving them the time and the space to just really lean in and say, okay, what does this mean for me, and what is this really offering for me? So I think that is testament to the growth in you. And, in this season of your solar returns, as you are stepping up and trying to kind of feel into what that new version of self is and how it wants to be expressed in the world, these are going to give you opportunities to bring a new response forward. Because if you are finding that patterns are continuing, if things are continuing to show up, it is because they are asking for a new response from you. And I believe in July, that's what you're going to do, Cancer. Now, Uranus, of course, coming out of Taurus and shifting into Gemini, big news, arriving on the 7th, will be here for the next 6 years. We have a dip back into Taurus November 8th through April 26th. But take a moment to really appreciate the way in which this is going to be a game-changing moment. Things are going to start to happen quickly. You're being asked to commit to something, and it already feels right to you. At a soul level, it already feels right, but it still could bring up some things that are confronting, and that's uncomfortable. But it's okay, because in a way I think there's also going to be a relief that's felt, in and around the date of the 7th. And remember, what does Uranus and Gemini represent? Well, change, but, a rebellion, it's reform, revolution. There's an awakening happening here. And things can come in quite a shocking way, but there's also this immense sense of originality and creativity and sort of disruptive energy that can help break the mold and really give you more freedom. And, you know, in Gemini, we're coming at it from a place of communication, the thoughts that we think, how we express ourselves, the ideas and inspiration that we have in a future focused way. So there's something really exhilarating that's arriving. But of course, depending on where you are, we can try to cling to the old. And sometimes the Hierophant is about, you know, to what degree are we trying to maintain some sense of tradition at the same time as explore and lean into, you know, the New World Order and what that represents. And it's about trying to find that balance for you as well, because there are some things that are still sacred. And it's not that we want to abandon everything, right? And I think that you are such a powerful record keeper, Cancer. And, you know, you can be that voice. You can be that person that says, okay, but, you know, let's not forget the history of this, or the wisdom that's brought forth, or what is held and sacred in this space. And, you know, I think you're going to be finding that there are touch points in different aspects of what is going on for you that are requiring you to kind of look back and think about, well, you know, what needs to remain and be taken care of and protected in a way. At the same time as, you know, where am I being asked to open up to the growth and the progress and to take that giant leap? Because here's the thing, the time shifts are moving so fast that it's almost like, you know, you can barely catch your breath with it. You will be asking yourself, is this worth my energy? Okay, time and time again through the month of July. And, you know, I think that's a leveled place to be. And as you arrive at that full moon in Capricorn on the 10th, you know, something particularly in regards to, you know, relationships that are close to home for you, or perhaps going on in your workspace, are being highlighted, where something may have felt like it was a lot of hard work. In a way, it's sort of prepared you. It's prepared you to be confident enough to set a higher standard for yourself, because what we don't want, you know, is you getting caught up in low vibe energy experiences. We just don't have time for it anymore. And I think around that full moon, you're almost going to be saying, I could never have imagined I would be having this type of conversation, okay? Nonetheless, here we are. Now, you might not have it all figured out. However, there is something incredibly supportive in terms of the foundation being set for something. I think you're going to see very realistically, actually, particularly with Neptune having gone retrograde, very realistically exactly what it is that is you know, going to be required, you know, what you're going to have to invest, what you're going to have to devote to, what it's going to take, you know, in order to achieve or to attain or to sort something out in your world. But at the same time, there's something light and celebratory that, you know, can't be ignored. And perhaps it's because you're finally facing it, or you realize it's finally time that, you know, you are able and in a position to be able to take this on, or to look at what this means for you, how it's going to change your life. And I think you've got some support coming in also. I feel like somebody really understands what it is that you're saying, what you're trying to do and trying to achieve. And I do think that you're going to lay an important foundation to something in the month of July, okay? But it comes because you respond a little bit differently to how you ever have in the past, okay? And remember, if we have these moments of brilliance arising, you know, you're going to want to just absolutely claim it and you know, allow it to sort of redirect or show you something, and, you know, take the action and take it quickly. Now, of course, these retrograde energies can start to slow things down, and on the 12th, Saturn will take its backspin through Aries. You know, in its fall in this sign, it's not particularly supportive with the new position of Uranus and Gemini, which means that, you know, it's almost like there's a unleashed energy, you know, a sort of slightly chaotic frenzied feeling of something being let loose, and Saturn kind of, you know, too busy trying to figure out how it feels about being in Aries. Nonetheless, you know, with that backspin, it will slow things down to give consideration, I think, so that even where you see things moving quickly, it doesn't mean that you have to sort of get that sense of imbalance, particularly from a physical nervous system perspective, okay? But what you might be leaning into quite powerfully is the degree to which your personal autonomy is on the line, and what needs to happen, and how you're going to have to work on that and figure that out. And there may well be some decisions that are taking place in regards to your home and your place of work. Those feel really highlighted, in that sort of mid-month period. Now, we've got Temperance coming through here. Really love this energy for you, because she brings that modicum of patience just when you need it most, okay? What you might find this month, actually, Cancer, is that it is other people who are expressing a degree of impatience, maybe even toward you, but you need to do this in your way and on your time, okay? And as I said, there's going to be a lot of things that are flooding back, right? So memories, ideas, experiences, and you've got to kind of sift and sort through them all, because some are like, not red herrings, but they're just sort of, things that, you can have an awareness of, but they're not really anything that you need to then do anything about, yeah? But there are other things that are coming up that do need to be addressed, and perhaps are fundamentally important to what is coming next and what's about to happen, okay? So pay attention to that. We then, of course, have our Mercury retrograde arriving in Leo on the 17th. And so, all of the usual things that we understand take place during this time. We're mindful, and we can work with that energy. We know that from an intuitive perspective and a creative direction, this can be a really powerful time, along with that shift of Uranus into Gemini. Honestly, some of the things that come through for you could be just astounding. And you might just take some time to sit with that before you decide to sort of, really see where it's meant to take you, okay? But even if you find yourself wanting to make the progress, I think that's okay too. There's a lot of almost like preparation and planning that can be underway. Just be mindful of anything that you are negotiating or that's coming up, that has a degree of sort of longer term commitment associated with it. That, even if you get a yes, even if there's some sort of agreement, there might be a little bit more of toing and froing to come, okay? So just be open to that, and if at all possible, maybe try and wait till after that Mercury retrograde cycle ends, or at least be open to the fact that, there may be a little bit more that needs to give, for something to come together. We've got the Two of Coins, and you have this ability to sort of try to be a little bit flexible in regards to something. I believe someone's going to ask you in July, toward that mid-month, moving into the second half of the season, as we come into Leo energy, can you be flexible with this, or is it okay if this happens? Like, be prepared for that. Now, this is going to perhaps be, maybe it'll be a little bit triggering for you in a number of ways, Cancer, right? So you're going to have to take a step back a little bit and just review for yourself, where are my standards here, what were my expectations, what were the agreements. Now, because of the nature of some of the energy, like I said, you don't know if you're coming or going, you might get sort of tied up a little bit in knots if you're trying to kind of constantly pull back to what was agreed or discussed, because the rules seem to be shifting and changing, and things are moving so quickly in some ways, that could feel a bit problematic. So there's maybe a little bit of confusion, and not like direct conflict, but definitely negotiation that needs to happen. Remember, Temperance is reminding you, have a little patience. We can find a way through this. We will find a way through this. And in the meantime, if you're just having to sort of balance something, or you're feeling like you're just trying to make something work, that's going to be a temporary scenario for you, okay? Something does settle itself down. I definitely feel this. What's important, I think, for you, because we're in this season of your solar returns, is to really recognize how much respect and love and appreciation you have for who you are becoming, because in doing in doing that and in feeling that, it really makes a difference as to how people are responding to you. It'll also make a difference as to how confident you feel to take on some of the things that show up, and particularly where there's really unique ideas that can be implemented to help you in any number of ways in your life, whether that's, something that comes into the family, the relationship, what's going on at work. You really need to be in that space, right? I also think you're weighing up between, and it feels like two people, right? So this could be romantic relationships. It may be that you're trying to decide between two people to employ, or two people, in terms of you're wanting to, have a direct service from somebody. So whatever that is, it feels like there's a choice or decision that's, sitting on the line, that, you need to make a commitment with regards to that as well. And again, I feel that there's a lot of toing and froing. Don't be at all surprised if you might make a decision and then for whatever reason your first choice doesn't end up being the right one. So it may be that you have a second in reserve, and thinking about how would it be if this second option was really the one. So really lean into kind of exploring, not just in the here and the now, but in the mid and longer term, if there's some sort of coming together, how that really feels for you. Okay, that I think is going to be important to remember through Leo season. Now remember, in second house that you will be arriving at when that happens, and particularly as we build up to the new moon in Leo on the 24th, there's something about you seeing the value of something and going like, I want this because I really see the value in it. So maybe it's something you want to do, maybe it's something that you have that you want to sell, maybe it's connected into an expertise, like whatever it is. Like I see you identifying, this is, I absolutely know the value of this, and you're going to know what you want to do with it. Okay, so that's also going to be very helpful for you, because it feels like there's a wave coming, that opportunity is presenting itself right now. You can make a quick choice or decision, and something can end up really sort of elevating you and actually kind of taking you further than what you believed was going to happen. It's almost like, as I said, what just happened? That's the energy. Now remember, that Knight of Cups is sort of you projecting yourself into the future with regards to something, and then we have our energy of Judgment, and that's that bigger choice or decision, that kind of crossroads moment. And there's something that feels really just about this. It sort of feels like I want to say you're owed this, right? It kind of feels like maybe you missed out on something, or something didn't come together in a way that it should have, or it was expected. And even other people might have remarked on that. They might have said, wow, I really thought that was going to be your thing, or that was going to work out for you, and it didn't. And so it's like the universe comes back around again. Here's another opportunity, but it's like this time, something is being asked of you, but you've also changed and grown and evolved. And so I think this is a really powerful new moon for you on the 24th. I want you to grasp that opportunity. I want you to not be afraid of what's showing up and what it's asking of you, because this is about timing, and this is a divine time, Cancer, okay? And it feels exciting. Now we also have Chiron going retrograde in Aries on the 30th, right at the end of July. The wounded healer. Just reminding you that, again, we move forward in these healing cycles, and then, we pause, we take stock, we track back. And so you're maybe going deeper into something, as that cycle begins. And, there's something about, I think, your energy feeling a bit out of whack for, I want to say, like most of July, but don't be concerned about that. I don't mean in hugely detrimental ways. I just mean it's like you just get used to one kind of a feeling, and then all of a sudden it's shifting again, So it's really like all seasons in a day, like for the whole 31 days, right? A little bit like that. But in those moments of stillness, which you will find, okay, you absolutely will find, what you're going to notice is that the wisdom that you have in regards to what's happening is absolutely astounding. It's like your psychic channel is so switched on, the volume is all the way up, and you know exactly what it is that you need to in any given moment. And that's going to be super helpful, especially regarding relationships for you, okay? Because you're going to know what they're about to say, you're going to know where they're coming from, you're going to know, you know, what's coming down the line, and all of that preparation is helping you to give yourself time to be able to respond differently. So think about it like that. Every time you get the psychic download, it's an invitation to say, okay, how do I want to be? Who do I want to be in this moment in terms of what's about to show up and how the energy is about to change for me? And that's one thing that's going to be guaranteed, that the changes that are happening now are powerful, they are life altering, and there are trajectories that are absolutely like at supersonic speed, you know, directing you somewhere different. So lean in and listen, okay? Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards I look at in my extended reading. We talk for another 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and you will also receive a personal question and a relationship card. I hope you'll join me. It's a way to support the channel. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards, just see the direction that will take this reading for you, Cancer. Okay, so let's start with that Knight of Cups. We're bringing in the Ten of Cups, beautiful, and the Hanged Man. Please do check out my website, romywiser.com. You're going to find ways to work with me for readings, one-to-one readings. Also, all of my signature products are available, you know, here and designed to support you in your spiritual journey. I love that Ace of Swords coming through. Interestingly, we've got another Temperance showing up for you and another Hierophant. Queen of Fire. Okay, she feels important, right? Maybe you got a fire sign, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, or someone expressing themselves in that way. But I think there's going to be something that falls out from that interaction, communication, situation. Okay, so yeah, romywiser.com. You'll find all of the products and services, and please check out what else is coming online for me. You'll see that detailed if you sign up to my newsletter and you're part of my social media on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube. You'll find all the details coming online soon with new direction and what's happening in my life. Okay, I'm going to just look at some Life Soul Vision oracles now. So this is my deck. Portals of Possibility, beautiful. Golden Ribbons of Light. There's that wave. Waves crash and stars fall. We've got Spirals of Love and Grief. We've got Rise in Love. Earth Medicine and Magic cast their spells. Okay. And then we're just going to pull one more oracle for you, Cancer. What do we have? Okay, okay, definitely the wave, right? Cosmic wave. New friendships, preparation, custodians. Okay, beautiful. Leave that there. I hope you'll join me on the extended. Have a beautiful solar returns. Enjoy this month. I know there are going to be moments where you do not know if you're coming or going, but all is well. You are right where you are meant to be. Lean in and listen. Take care. See you next time.